armored vehicles. As soon as the enemy columns start moving, the Arton Syndicate FPV operators and the Arton Artillery Unit, first 3 infantry fighting vehicles are struck and set ablaze 8 kilometers before the contact line. Then explosion. The goal of the Ukrainian units is clear: destroy the rest of the convoy before it can approach their positions. And the artillery batteries come into play. Direct hit. Other elements of the convoy trying to advance are taken out one by the drone operators. The Russian infantry, having lost their armor, are forced to abandon their vehicles, and the Ukrainian units focus primarily on wiping the immobilized Russian vehicles from the field. Artillery strikes and vehicles are destroyed one by one. A few intact Russian armored vehicles try to escape, but the drone operators do not. Targets eliminated. Thanks to the professional operation carried out by the Artan unit, together with other elements of the armed forces of Ukraine, the attack is neutralized before it even begins. Here's yet another Russian convoy assault. Everything starts going. Clearing tank initially manages to advance without taking any damage. But there is an obstacle ahead that must be overcome. The Russian tank wants to clear this obstacle with a single shot, but this attempt ends in complete failure. Immediately after, Ukrainian tanks come into action, opening fire. And it's the end of the road for this tank. A few accurate shots hit the target dead on. Destroyed. One of the infantry fighting vehicles in the convoy manages to drop off its soldiers. The crew flees in panic, but the ammo inside the vehicle explodes. A massive explosion. 1. They have no chance. Within a short time, 2 more tanks are destroyed. And 1 more fatal mistake. A Russian vehicle continues to advance, unaware of what's about to happen. But the drone knows exactly where its target is. The result can be seen from kilometers away. April 2025. The Ukrainian 31st Mechanized Brigade detects another Russian armored unit on the Zaporizhzhia front. Already prepared for a possible attack in this area, the Ukrainian forces move without wasting any time. Artillery fire begins one after another. And here comes a massive explosion. Enemy elements are shocked, instantly thrown into chaos. The leading vehicle of the fleeing Russian convoy is hit. This explosion becomes an inevitable disaster for the rest of the convoy as well. Operation completed. Enemy destroyed. Ukrainian forces detect Russian invaders advancing toward Siversky. There are 6 armored vehicles, tanks, and infantry fighting vehicles in the column. The convoy is approaching step by step. Drone operators monitor the Russian convoy moment by moment and immediately begin preparations. And the attack begins. Ukrainian forces put the enemy under pressure with artillery fire. The panicking Russian convoy loses formation. They change direction in chaos, trying to divert to another route, but this effort is in vain. They are still within artillery range. Ukrainian artillery increases fire frequency. As the convoy gets closer, FPV drones come into action. Attacks intensify and a dense smokescreen covers the air sections. Zaporizhzhia, Donetsk, Luhansk, and Siversky have become the most frequent stages for these high-stakes operations. The scenario usually unfolds the same way every time. The convoy sets off, tanks leading, armored trucks and supply vehicles following. Recon drones track every move, sending live images that reveal speed, formation gaps, and black smoke rises, visible for miles. Caught in this chaos, Russian crews often try to hide damaged vehicles in forests or abandoned farmyards. But Ukrainian drone operators equipped with thermal cameras find them anyway. When needed, javelins and other anti-tank teams deliver the final blow. One precise hit turns a hidden armored vehicle into a massive fireball. These attacks don't just destroy hardware, they strike deep into Russian troop morale. Once frontline infantry realizes convoy support won't reach them, their willingness to hold positions drops sharply. Many are forced to pull back, abandon positions, or shift from offense to desperate defense. Meanwhile, Ukraine's ability to pull off these ambushes depends on cutting-edge technology and seamless coordination. Russian domestic media. Official channels bury the losses under vague statements about tactical withdrawals or logistical delays. But raw frontline footage, the night sky lit by explosions, black smoke columns rising on the horizon, shows the truth to the world. In this war, convoy ambushes have evolved into far more than just a tactic. They are a strategic weapon, reshaping the battlefield balance. Every destroyed armored column tightens Ukraine's hold on its defensive lines and weakens Russia's plans for fresh offensives. And each new burning wreck sends a single clear message back across the battlefield. These lands will not be taken easily. But behind every successful convoy ambush lies a deeper story. One of relentless training, split-second coordination, and soldiers who've adapted to fight an enemy that rarely fights fair. Across the fields and forests of eastern Ukraine, small drone teams have become some of the most decisive units on the front. These operators spend hours, sometimes days, tracking a single convoy's path. They learn its timing, study the terrain, and immediately switch to defense positions. The other APCs are targeted with FPV drones. A massive scatter into the surroundings. Drone attacks come one after another. Enemy vehicles give up the chase. Wrong at the very beginning of the attack. Iranians already have the javelin ready. The other elements of the convoy that decide to retreat are hunted down one by one. The crew tries to hide one of the tanks in the forest, but in vain. The tank is detected immediately. Realizing this, the crew desperately opens fire to bring down the UAV. But other. Hit dead on. The armored vehicle, engulfed in flames, tries to move forward, setting the surroundings on fire. However, the ammunition explosion triggered by overheating brings an end to the vehicle. The vehicle trying to escape. It meets the same fate as the others. Thanks to the coordinated operation of 2 mechanized battalions of the 54th Motorized Rifle Brigade, the attack is completely repelled. In recent months, the repeated Russian convoy attacks along the Ukrainian front line have become one of the most decisive factors shaping the course of this war. These attacks are no longer one-off operations. Instead, they have turned into a systematic war of attrition, repeated weekly, sometimes even daily, on the hottest sections of the front. From the early days of the invasion, the Russian army has relied heavily on large armored convoys to transport logistical support, ammunition, and fresh troops to the front line. These convoys typically consist of tanks, infantry fighting vehicles, armored personnel carriers, and ammunition trucks. Sometimes they number 10 vehicles, sometimes 30 or more. But such massive movement is essentially a moving bullseye for Ukraine's advanced drone network and intelligence units. Often these convoys are identified before they even start rolling. Ukraine's fixed surveillance systems, reconnaissance drone operators, and local resistance informants pinpoint routes, expected stop points, and vulnerable weak spots. Then, the plan is set in motion. The first strike almost always comes from FPV drones. They target the lead tank or infantry fighting vehicle with a precision, explosive hit. This single blow slows the convoy and blocks the road ahead. Once the lead vehicles are burning wrecks, the rest of the convoy is trapped, stuck with no room to maneuver. That's when the artillery batteries go to work. With pinpoint accuracy, Ukrainian artillery pounds the stalled convoy. Within minutes, armored vehicles go up in flames, ammo trucks detonate one after another, and thick recon drones locate the targets. Real-time comms and GPS-fed fire control direct the artillery. FPV drones swarm the convoy at close range. Anti-tank teams stand ready to deliver finishing shots. Every element is linked. Nothing is left to chance. The result, a single well-coordinated strike lasting just a few minutes can wipe out a convoy worth tens of millions of dollars in armored vehicles and heavy equipment. All that's left behind are charred tank husks, exploded ammo, and abandoned gear scattered across scorched roads. These convoy takedowns have become so frequent that similar scenes play out across the entire front, from Zaporizhzhia to Donetsk, Luhansk to Seversky. Each new convoy that hits the road becomes yet another easy mark for Ukrainian recon eyes. Each successful strike chips away at Russia's ability to push deep into Ukrainian territory. One of the most striking aspects is how these attacks are often hidden from wait for the perfect moment to strike. At night, these drone teams often crawl through mud and cold winds, setting up launch points that can't be easily detected by Russian electronic warfare units. The moment the convoy appears on thermal cameras, they spring into action. FPVs roar through the dark, artillery crews get firing coordinates in seconds, and anti-tank teams stand by for the finishing blow. It's a brutal dance of technology and human grit. One mistake could mean losing a drone or missing the window before the convoy slips away. But every successful hit means one less wave of armored steel pushing toward Ukrainian towns and villages. These convoy ambushes have also inspired new tactics across the entire front line. Small teams experiment with faster FPV drones, longer-range communications, and swarm tactics that can overwhelm enemy defenses. New volunteer drone operators train daily, turning civilian tech skills into battlefield tools. In the end, each blackened wreck left smoldering on a back road is more than just metal destroyed. It's a sign that Ukraine's defenders are evolving faster than the invading force can adapt. And as long as these convoys keep rolling, the message stays the same. Every mile of stolen land comes with a cost. And every armored column that burns buys Ukraine just a little more time, space, and hope for freedom.